think we've done main air. We've done reheat systems. Given that there's 34 years worth of memory, that's probably been shaded a bit. But we've done FRS couplings in the different types. We've done.
There was one. There is a perverse system, really. The fire extinguishing system. So behind us in the number 1 jet interbay,
you had the tanks.
You had the 2 fire bottles left and right, and they used to discharge through. Where's it gone? I just saw one.
There's one.
There's one up there.
Yeah,
It's
Here.
Yeah.
There's one here.
All right, yeah.
There's another one that's broken off. So the fire bottles were placed in the interpipe, and they would discharge into number 1 or 2 engine bays, and the pilot and zone 1, zone 2, and the pilot would get an indication
through the firewire.
Of an engine fire warning. So if you got eng fire 1 or eng fire 2, he would press the appropriate button, and the extinguisher would come into the fire bay. But they also give the pilot the reheat warning, which told him he had a reheat fire, unless it was a dodgy firewire. But unfortunately, you couldn't put the extinguishant into that bay, even though the bottles were in there.
Yeah.
So it was quite perverse, that. And the pilot really had no option, if he got a reheat fire warning, to either think and cross his fingers that it was a firewire fault, but if it was a real fire warning, then inevitably a lot of them used to have to eject.
So it wasn't some of the design, pretty primitive in comparison with today's technology. But some of the design wasn't necessarily for safety; it was for flying, and it being a weapons platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
And certainly was far removed from being an engineer's pleasure or a technician or mechanic's pleasure at any point.
But you've got to remember the first Lightning flew in '54, like the P1, which we split up here. It was brought up here, wasn't it?
Yeah,
from,
it was. Yeah.
But the last Lightning that was ever lost, XR769, was lost because they had a reheat pump failure.
Is that right?
Yeah. And they took film of it. They were in formation doing a.
Well, Ian Black, I think, was accompanying. It was
Dick Coleman,
was he Australian?
Australian pilot.
Yeah.
And the reheat pump had failed, and they got footage of the flames licking down the fuselage. And eventually he ejected from 10,000 feet, and it was bye-bye XR769.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, though, just going back to the 1954 first flight, and you think that's all British technology.
Yeah.
And when you tell people that aren't connected to aviation, that he works on something in the 80s that was capable of something like 2.27, and an initial rate of climb of 50,000 feet, that was designed in, not that far after the Second World War.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult for people to compute. And when you actually did see one of these, first of all on the ground running, on full reheat, it just gave you a sense of the
power,
awesome power.
Yeah. And
then seeing one take off and go into vertical climb.
Yeah.
I mean, even in today, seeing something like that's awe-inspiring.
I mean, even before you see the aircraft engines run, on the reheat pan, just lifting those chocks in, you're thinking, geez, these are old as Saturn V back. They were enormous. Take 2 of you to lift them.
Yeah, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Crikey! And even then, with the number 2 running at 70%, and reheat on a number 1 engine, it would push the brakes on, but the wheels would be up those chocks, just bouncing on the ground.
Yeah, that raw, power. Dry,
ridiculous
power.
Yeah. Do you remember this stuff?
Viton.
That's it.
Viton tape.
Yeah, Viton.
So they're hydraulics, though, aren't they?
Yeah, but the only purpose of it was to actually, if it did develop a hydraulic leak, which this was 3,000 psi.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it would spray. Yeah, that's another story. But the Viton would stop it, spraying, atomising,
turn a spray into a drip.
Yeah.
So
OM11.
Here's OM11.
Yeah.
Here's one more thing. So I think we've sort of pretty much done everything, haven't we? Number 2 engine, we were responsible as engine folks of fitting hydraulic pumps.
Yeah.
That was quite a straightforward job on the number 2 engine.
Oh,
on the number 1, the hydraulic because
You see me and Andy grimacing now.
Yeah.
direct access, didn't you, to be able to fit them?
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
straightforward. You'd be able to do it in a
Through
fraction
that
of the
panel,
time.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this panel came off,
Yeah.
engine went in, connected up, and then the hydraulic pumps would go in, and that would be another thing that would scar the arm on the
Yeah.
wire
Yeah.
locking
Yeah.
encounters.
Trying to get that thing engaged, and they were heavy and awkward,
Yeah.
and your arms only had so
Yeah.
long.
You had to put
If
the
it wasn't in,
clamp
I'm
on
going
there.
to have a rest.
You also had
Yeah.
to put the clamp around it
Yes,
first,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah. Hands
Oh,
shaking.
Yeah, that's right. You get the because you could get
couldn't
the pump
get-
on, then you couldn't get
you
the clamp
couldn't,
on. So the
no.
clamp went on first, then you got the pump on, and then who was responsible for actually connecting them up to the pipes? Was that the riggers or? I
No, we
can't
did
remember.
that.
We
We
did.
did
We
that.
actually
Quick-
connected the
Quick release
hydraulics.
couplings, weren't
Yeah.
they?
But
And
they
then
were wire locked.
Wire locked, yeah.
Wire locking.
So the riggers were
Yeah.
heavily dependent.
Have you still got?
Without that, nothing would function.
I
Have you
haven't.
still got your wire locking
I
pairs?
haven't, no.
I've got 2 pairs.
No.
One silver, one black. And I still use them nowadays.
Yeah, might have to
Yeah.
edit that, but
No, no. They were given to me.
Oh,
weren't
were
they?
they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were given
Yeah.
to me as a gift.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of finals. So we have main engine dollies. Did we used to call them? That used to clamp in?
Trunnions.
Trunnions. And then this is another engine mount.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
one here and one here, yeah.
Got that.
Just
Right,
a
okay.
pit
Memory-
pin that went in there.
Memory loss, but coming back.
But
So,
none of it was particularly easy to get to, was it? It was
No,
just.
no.
It was all. The other thing I remember, but the ORAC award. Do you remember the ORAC
No.
award? You don't remember the ORAC award?
No.
It was one of the FRS couplings in the wing, and there was an ex-APO was trying to undo it, and he couldn't undo it, so he used a drift with a hammer. And these are aluminium, aren't they? And he used a steel drift, and he ended up cutting a groove in it,
Yeah.
but he was trying to tighten it instead of undo.
Oh, right, okay.
And we took that. It was taken off. Someone will remember it. It was called the ORAC Award from Blake 7. If anyone remembers Blake.
No, keep going.
You don't remember Blake 7?
Uh,
The TV program.
yeah, I remember it, but
it was the computer.
okay. ORAC was the computer.
ORAC, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
What I did call it the ORAC.
You did,
Award.
you did, yeah, you
ORAC
did.
award went
Yeah,
to
yeah.
So the person who did the silliest
Yeah,
thing
okay.
in a week.
Right.
Gash. That was the name, was it?
Gash.
A gash job. So in summary, then, I guess, starting with you, Mario, then you, Murph. In summary, how would you sort of sum up your time at Binbrook and working on the Lightning in what was major servicing, wasn't it? Really
Yeah.
Major overhaul.
For me, it was an incredible learning process. I got given great opportunity and given a great chance to just show that I was capable of doing this work. I found it challenging, but I also found it really rewarding that you could do it. And that came with me to, it gave me the confidence to actually go and say, yeah, I can do this and I can do that, because not everybody could do those FRS couplings. You know, whenever a check came in, it was always the same regular people that would go, right,
Yeah.
you've got the FRS couplings,
Yeah.
you've got the main air system,
Yeah.
and yeah, go on. Jobs I didn't like was painting the number 2 engine bay with that sealant, which was horrible, and fitting. Oh, it was in there, in the interpipe, the long number 2 reheat pipe that went up into the number 2 engine bay through the hole.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember that?
yes,
Oh
yeah,
God,
yeah.
nightmare.
But you'd
Yeah.
sum it up by saying
It was brilliant.
I
loved it.
You had immense life skills to be able to go forward, almost
Absolutely.
into any job.
Yeah.
Into any,
I mentioned this earlier on when we were talking earlier, but it certainly helped me when I was doing maintenance, designing engines to be maintainable for Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
Because I knew what a poorly thought up design for maintenance could lead to, i.e. huge amounts of maintenance hours per flying hour.
Yeah.
And that learning I took to Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good.
They got the RAF and the designer, and to thank for that.
Yeah.
Murph, sum up.
Yeah, formative years. We were all so young.
Yeah.
We were very young.
Drink a bit.
Yeah, now and again, the odd glass of
be.
sherry,
Yeah,
once
yes.
or twice a week, certainly. You know, if permitted. Yeah, there was enormous amount of responsibility.
Yeah, there
we
was.
talked about
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah.
I remember the posters dotted around the place. their life in your hands.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and we did
And
think
you did
about
feel that, yeah.
the technical difficulties, frustration, but as you've already said, the satisfaction once you'd done that. But I think also the teamwork,
Yeah.
and not just, you know, team 3's engine blokes helping team 4's, but, you know, the riggers, the
Yeah.
electricians. When it came to finally bolting these things in and getting
Yeah.
the tanks on and the engines in, there were no trade
Handling
boundaries.
up, yeah.
Everybody
Mucked
you know,
in.
mucked in, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's interesting what you say, and I guess just in summary for me, I mean, I did 3.5 years at Binbrook and then left the RAF and went into the business world. And I remember getting interviewed a few years downstream for a particular job, and the interviewer said to me, look, you know, fast forward to your time in the RAF, don't see that as being relevant. I said, that's an interesting question. Do you believe that teamwork and teams working together and their ability to achieve great things is important? And he said, well, yes, I do. And I thought, okay, so therefore this might be relevant. Do you agree that structure and discipline in terms of what and overcoming adversity and being able to be patient in what you do is that important? And he said, well, actually, you're okay, you've got a point. Talk me through your RAF experience. And I think really, for me, the essence of a team being able to work together and do great things. So that team thing I took away a lot, and the patience thing.
Yeah.
If you learn that patience, and actually the other thing I think for me working on the Lightning was it almost nothing was impossible. You could look at a task and think, how on earth am I going to complete this? But there was always a way.
Yeah.
And that for me, again, you just convert those skills into what, and whether that's personally, or whether it's in your work life. You know, so yeah, thankful for, and some of the best laughs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hangovers I think I've ever had in my life. You know,
what's a
incredible experience.
What's a hangover?
Incredible. Well, if you're constantly drinking, you don't normally get there. Anyway, but no, good.
No, a pleasure.
Yeah. In terms of, I visited Binbrook a few years ago, and you know, from what we remember, it, which was, you know, pretty prestigious, league kept station, it had fallen into you know, some decline. And what's happened here with the team here, in terms of acquiring a number of these buildings and bringing them back to and really in places beyond their former glory is incredible. The grounds are starting to look you know, back to how they were, and really just what the team are doing here, not just from a charitable perspective, but actually bringing this beloved station back to its former glory. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, this is my... Since I left Binbrook, I came back here in around about 2004, and I got pretty depressed because the place was decrepit, desolate. It felt broken. And this is my first visit back. I came up with Steve, and I am actually lost for words as to what has been achieved on this station. You know, but the more than anything, more than the lightnings, more than anything, was the work that's going on in Hangar 3. Just blew me away. It just incredible, dedicated team that do it for just being good. And I can't say any more than that. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And I was a pleasure to come here, a privilege actually.
Yeah. So for me, Steve had mentioned he'd seen some of the work before, and he'd tried to tell me about that. But until you come and see for yourself, it was far beyond anything I could have even not expected, but even imagined.
Yeah.